Before we start, please make sure to like this video and hit this subscribe button, so you never miss a story like this. And also comments where you are watching from, how many sons and daughters you have. Thanks.
My name is Rachel Carter. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. And let me tell you something straight, never mistake a woman's silence for weakness. Sometimes, silence is just the sound of a storm gathering. You're embarrassing me in front of my family, Jason shouted, his face twisted in rage. I stood in the middle of his mother's living room, holding nothing but my breath and what was left of my pride. I had just asked a simple question about the missing money from our joint account. But that's all it took. His mother, Patricia, crossed her arms and leaned back in her chair with a smug smile. His brother, Derek, chuckled under his breath like he was watching a comedy show. But it wasn't funny. Not to me. Not after everything I had done for this man. I said, "Drop it." Jason barked, walking toward me fast. "I'm not dropping anything," I snapped back. $3000 didn't just walk out of our account. And you're gonna explain. Slap. The room went silent. I didn't fall, but my knees buckled slightly from the sting. My cheek burned, and so did my soul. He slapped me. In front of his mother. In front of his brother. Like I was trash on the sidewalk. And worst of all, they laughed. "Oh, don't be so dramatic," his mother muttered. "You know how Jason gets when you push his buttons." Derek shook his head and grinned. "She talks too much, bro. You should have done that a long time ago." And that was it. That was my breaking point. I stood up straight, tears threatening to fall, but not from pain. From the fire igniting in my chest. "You think that's funny?" I said, my voice trembling, but not weak. "You think hitting a woman makes you strong?" Jason sneered. "You brought it on yourself. Always nagging. Always playing the victim. And what does that make you?" I fired back. "A thief? A liar? A coward who can't even admit he emptied our savings on what, sports betting? New shoes for your brother? Or maybe it was that blonde girl at the gas station again?" Patricia stood now, like she was going to step in. "Don't you dare accuse my son of anything. You've always been ungrateful. We let you into this family." I looked at her, then at Jason. I took a long, deep breath, and I smiled. "You know what?" I said quietly. "You're right. You did let me into this family. But you forgot, I didn't come in begging. I came in building. I helped this man rebuild his credit, clear his debts, land a job he never deserved. And what did I get? Humiliation. Abuse. And now, betrayal." Jason laughed like he had already won. "Oh please, Rachel. You're not going anywhere. You don't even have family. No friends. You're nothing without me." And there it was, the sentence that snapped something loose in my soul. I walked over to the glass table and slowly picked up my phone. Still smiling. "What are you doing?" Jason asked, narrowing his eyes. "Calling my lawyer," I said, calmly. "And your HR department. And the police. All three." His smile faltered. Patricia's face dropped. Derek stood up. "You wouldn't dare," Jason started. "Oh, I would. Because guess what, Jason? That slap just gave me everything I need. That camera in the corner?" I pointed. "Your mom forgot it's still connected to the security app one installed. It saw everything." Now the room wasn't laughing. Now they were silent. "You should have just told me the truth," I continued. "You should have respected me. But instead, you tried to break me." I turned to the door and paused. "You didn't break me, Jason. You woke me up." And I walked out of that house with nothing in my hands, but everything in my power. If you've ever been told to stay quiet to keep the peace, remember this: peace built on fear isn't peace at all. Raise your voice. Walk away. Reclaim your worth. Because your silence will never protect you, but your courage might save someone else. Don't scroll past this. Share this if you believe no one deserves to be silenced by shame. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was heartbroken, those days were long gone. But because I had a plan. And when a woman like me makes a plan after getting slapped in front of the people who are supposed to love her, it doesn't end with tears. It ends with consequences. The next morning, I woke up in my friend Sasha's guest room. She was one of the only people who never stopped checking on me, even when Jason made me cut off all my friends. Control. That's what he called love. But love doesn't leave bruises. It doesn't drain your bank account. It sure as hell doesn't slap you when you're speaking your truth. I looked in the mirror. The faint red mark on my cheek had faded, but the image burned in my memory like it was branded into my skin. I opened my laptop and pulled up the footage from the security camera, crystal clear, time-stamped, with audio. I watched it once. Then I sent it. First, to HR at his company, where I had helped him get a job after begging my own supervisor to give him a chance. Second, to my lawyer, who had been silently waiting for me to say the word go. Third, to my private Dropbox folder. Because I wasn't going to just react anymore. I was going to document, expose, and destroy every lie Jason Carter ever built on my back. At 10:47 a.m., he texted me. Jason, where are you? Jason, don't do anything stupid. Jason, let's talk. You know I didn't mean it. Jason, my job is on the line. Please, Ratch. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. The consequences were already in motion. By noon, I got a call from Human Resources. They had already suspended him pending investigation. The email they received from me included timestamps, financial transactions from our shared bank account, and proof of verbal and physical abuse. By 3 p.m., my lawyer filed an emergency protective order. By 6 p.m., Jason was blowing up Sasha's phone. Not mine. He already knew I had blocked him. But here's the thing, Jason wasn't scared of losing me. He was scared of being exposed. He never loved me. He loved the life I gave him. The second that slipped from his hands, so did his mask. The next day, I got a knock on Sasha's door. It wasn't him. It was Patricia. She stood there in her black trench coat, lips pressed tight, like she had just swallowed a lemon. I just came to talk, she said, trying to force a fake calm. I think we should handle this privately. As a family. A family? I said, arms crossed. You mean the same family that stood there and laughed when your son struck me? She sighed like I was being difficult. You have to understand, Jason has a temper, but he's a good man. Don't ruin his life over one mistake. One mistake? I nearly laughed. Ma'am, this wasn't a mistake. It was a pattern. You just didn't care to see it, because as long as I kept cleaning up his messes, paying the rent, and cooking the dinners, I was useful. But the second I asked questions, I became a problem. Patricia leaned in. You're angry. I get that. But what you're doing? Going public with this? You'll only hurt yourself in the end. That's when I realized something. They never expected me to fight back. They thought I'd crawl back, like always. Actually, I said, what I'm doing is finally telling the truth. And if the truth hurts Jason? Maybe he should have thought about that before throwing his fists and hiding his lies. I shut the door. No more guilt. No more begging. No more apologies for being the only one who ever told the truth in a room full of liars. Later that night, I posted something on my private social media. Just a single paragraph. For years, I kept quiet to protect a man who abused, manipulated, and gaslit me in front of the people who should have held him accountable. Yesterday, he hit me in front of his mother. They all laughed. Today, he's suspended. Tomorrow, I speak louder. This isn't revenge. It's survival. The messages started rolling in. Women. Men. People I hadn't spoken to in years. Some told me I was brave. Some told me they were sorry. But some told me they saw it coming. They just didn't know how to help. You know what that did to me? It lit a fire so strong, I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't just going to walk away. I was going to rise, and make sure he never did this to another woman again. They say when a woman walks away, she does it quietly. Not me. Not this time. Because when I left Jason, I didn't just take my clothes or my toothbrush, I took back my voice. And I wasn't whispering anymore. I was going to scream if I had to. Scream until the world knew what he really was behind those button-down shirts and phony smiles. The morning after I posted my story, my inbox was overflowing. One message stopped me cold. It was from a girl named Emily, a stranger. Her message started like this. I saw your post. I dated Jason back in college. He did the same thing to me. I still have the photos. I still have the journal entries. I just never thought anyone would believe me. My hands started shaking. She wasn't the only one. By the end of the day, I had 4 more messages from women he had ghosted, manipulated, cheated on, even shoved around, but they had all stayed quiet. Just like me. All of us, stuck in silence. Thinking we were alone. Turns out, Jason wasn't a mistake. He was a pattern. I asked them all one question. Would you be willing to come forward with me? One by one. They said yes. We didn't go to the internet for drama. We went for justice. We compiled our stories. We blurred faces. We removed names. But we told the truth. Loudly. I remember the first message I got from Jason after that post went viral. What the hell are you doing? You're ruining everything. I could sue you for defamation. I didn't even flinch. I replied with 4 words. Truth isn't defamation, Jason. The next day, HR called again. Jason wasn't just suspended, he was officially terminated. Apparently, when they looked deeper into his past behavior, they found inappropriate texts sent to an intern. That, along with the footage and witness accounts, they were done protecting him. But it didn't stop there. One of the girls who messaged me? Her name was Kendra. She had filed a police report years ago when Jason left bruises on her arms. But it had disappeared after she dropped the charges under pressure from, guess who? Patricia. The same woman who showed up at my door telling me to protect the family name. Now that the other stories were coming out, Kendra reopened her case. This time, with backup. With us. Women who refused to be quiet anymore. Jason's mother? She tried damage control. None of this is true, she said in a Facebook post. Rachel is bitter. She's exaggerating. She's trying to ruin a good man's life. But it backfired. Badly. One comment under her post said. Then why was she laughing when he hit her? Another one said. You raised him. You laughed. That makes you just as guilty. She deleted the post in under an hour. By now, people from our hometown were talking. And for once, they weren't whispering about me. They were whispering about him. All those fake smiles Jason wore? Peeled away. All that charm? Exposed for the mask it was. And the man who used to strut through rooms like he owned them? Now, where to be found? But here's what surprised me most. I didn't feel joy. I didn't want revenge. I wanted peace. And peace isn't loud. Peace is quiet power. So I took all the strength I had, and I built something. I partnered with Kendra and Sasha, and we started a small support circle, just us and other women from the community who had gone through the same thing. Not just romantic abuse, but emotional control, manipulation, financial entrapment. Within a month, we had a list of names. Women who needed help with restraining orders, with therapy, with someone to believe them. And every time one of them said, "I didn't think I mattered," I'd look them in the eye and say, "You do. You always did. He just made you forget." By month 3, we turned our support circle into a non-profit, her voice rising. By month 6, we had sponsors, donors, and a partnership with a local shelter. And Jason? He was jobless, disgraced, and facing a reopened case with actual evidence now. But I didn't look back. Because once you find your power, you stop wasting it on the people who tried to bury it. It was a rainy Thursday when he showed up. 6 months. 6 months since that slap. Since that smirk. Since his mother told me to keep my mouth shut and be grateful someone like Jason even chose me. I was walking out of our community center, the same one where her voice rising held weekly meetings now, when I saw him. Jason. Standing by his car, soaked from the rain, holding nothing but an envelope in his hand. For a moment, I didn't even recognize him. The arrogance in his shoulders? Gone. The designer sunglasses? Nowhere in sight. He looked small. And for once, I wasn't afraid. "Rachel," he called out, his voice hoarse. "Please. Just hear me out." I didn't stop walking. "I know I don't deserve it," he continued, following a few steps behind. "I know I messed up. I'm sorry. For everything." That word, sorry, hit me like a brick. Not because I believed it. But because of how late it came. I turned and looked at him. Hard. "Why now?" I asked, standing in the pouring rain, umbrella hanging by my side. "Why after everything? After the job, after the posts, after the case, after the women? Why now?" Jason swallowed hard. "Because I've lost everything," he said. "And it made me realize you were the only person who ever really cared." I blinked. "That's funny," I said, voice calm. Too calm. "Because I lost everything too, when I was with you. My friends. My money. My confidence. My voice. You didn't care then." He held out the envelope. "I wrote something. A letter. You don't have to read it now, but..." "I'm not reading anything," I cut in. "You had years to speak to me like a human being. You chose control. You chose violence. You chose humiliation." "I was broken," he whispered. "So was I said, my voice rising now. "But I didn't turn my pain into fists. I didn't make love a prison." The rain kept falling, soaking my hair, running down my face like tears I didn't need to cry anymore. "You didn't come here for me," I said. "You came here because no one else is left." He shook his head, lips trembling. "I came because I miss you." "You don't miss me," I snapped. "You miss what I did for you. What I gave you. You miss the woman who built your credit, paid your rent, smiled through the gaslighting. But that woman? She doesn't live here anymore." He looked stunned. Quiet. But I wasn't done. "You slapped me, Jason. In front of your mother. In front of your brother. And when I stood there, shaking, you laughed. You mocked me. You let them laugh. And you know what? That slap wasn't the worst part. The worst part was knowing you felt proud of it. You thought I'd crawl back like I always did." He lowered his head. "I was sick. No, I said firmly. You were selfish. You still are. Because even now, this isn't about me. This is about your guilt. Your image. Your redemption. But I don't owe you that. Not anymore. He looked up, tears pooling in his eyes. I wish I could undo it. You can't, I said. But I did. He looked confused. What do you mean? I smiled. Not with spite. Not with vengeance. With peace. I undid the damage. I rebuilt what you broke. I created something bigger than us. Stronger than your temper. Her voice rising isn't about punishing you. It's about freeing every woman like me who stayed quiet for too long. Jason stood silent as the rain beat down on both of us. I don't hate you, I said at last. I just survived you. And that's something you never expected. I walked past him, slow but certain. He didn't follow. He just stood there, holding that envelope like it could somehow fix what was shattered long ago. And for the first time ever, I didn't look back. It's been a year. 12 months since I walked out of that house with nothing but a bruised cheek, a racing heart, and the raw courage to say no more. And today, I stand on a stage. In front of hundreds of women. Some broken. Some healing. All listening. I take a deep breath and look around the room. Some of them have fresh scars, emotional ones, physical ones. Some of them carry their pain in silence, the way I used to. But all of them are here. And that means something. My name is Rachel Carter, I begin, and once, I thought my worth was measured by how well I could endure mistreatment and keep smiling. I thought love meant staying quiet, being loyal, giving second, third, fourth chances even when it hurt. Even when it bled. I pause, letting the silence fill the space where shame used to live. But I was wrong. A few heads nod slowly. I was told to lower my voice, not to stir things up, not to make things worse. I was told I was dramatic. Too sensitive. Too emotional. I was slapped across the face and then made to believe I had deserved it, and the worst part? I almost believed them. Now the tears start, not just in my eyes, but across the crowd. But that slap didn't break me. It woke me up. I steady my voice. It doesn't shake anymore. I left that house with nothing, but every step I took away from him was a step back to me. I found my voice in the middle of the wreckage. And when I finally spoke? Other women began to whisper, then talk, then scream their stories too. And that's how her voice rising was born. Applause begins, soft and steady. We started with 4 women in a living room. Now, we've helped over 2,000. We've funded emergency escapes, covered therapy costs, assisted with legal protection orders, and built the one thing most of us never had, a safe place to land. The clapping grows louder. And no, this isn't about revenge. This isn't about Jason anymore. This is about every woman who looked in the mirror and didn't recognize herself after loving the wrong man. It's about reclaiming your voice when the world told you to stay quiet. I look down at my hand, no wedding ring. No regret. I don't hate the past anymore. I needed it to become who I am now. But let me be clear, forgiveness doesn't mean access. I forgave Jason, but he will never have a seat at my table again. And that's not cruelty. That's self-respect. A standing ovation rises from the crowd. And in the back of the room, I see her. Emily. One of the first women who messaged me after I spoke out. Her eyes are red, but her chin is high. Next to her sits Kendra, with a binder in her lap and a clipboard in her hand, our next expansion plan. And next to them? My mother. She flew in from Arizona. It took time to rebuild what Jason's isolation broke. But we're healing now. Not perfectly. But honestly. After the event ends, I stand by the door as the women file out, one by one. Some hug me. Some whisper, "Thank you." Some just squeeze my hand and walk away silently. But I feel it in every gesture. The shift. The power. The legacy. Jason never came back after that day in the rain. I later heard he moved 2 states over. Tried to get a new job under a fake name. But truth travels. And silence, once broken, doesn't go quiet again. He can run. But he can't hide from who he is. And I'm not hiding either. Not from my past. Not from my pain. And definitely not from my power. Because once you survive what was meant to destroy you, you become unstoppable. Never let someone convince you that your silence is strength. Your voice is the most powerful tool you have. And sometimes, your healing becomes someone else's survival. If you've ever felt trapped, unseen, or silenced, please know this: you are not alone. Speak up. Reach out. Walk away if you need to. Because staying is not loyalty when it costs you your soul. And if you've already survived something like this, don't be afraid to turn your pain into purpose. Speech Balloon: share this story if you believe no woman should be shamed for walking away from abuse. Orange Heart: tag someone who needs to hear, you are not weak. You are rising. Loudspeaker comment: I rise if you've ever had to choose yourself over someone who tried to break you. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you'll ever do is say, "I'm done. And I'm not going back."